This is episode 8. We are here with Andrew Harwood, and we are going to talk about Alfred Hitchcock. Andrew was with me when I was doing previews. We had worked together with Maddox, and now that we're all getting more established, we're all doing our own thing. So, special thanks to Maddox. Hope you're doing well. I know you had to take a
Yeah,
step
I
back.
miss Maddox.
We missed the hell out of you. So, Maddox, we still think about you. You brought us all together, and I talk to Tavis all the time. So I was like, okay, this random guy brought us together, and now we're all together. So the internet is not as scary as a place as it can be, but it's still scary, like the world. But
Yeah,
anyway,
of course it is.
Andrew, it is 5 over there, so you are okay.
Yeah,
You're not
yeah.
fighting sleep, and I
No,
like
no,
it.
it's actually quite nice because we're actually doing this during daytime hours, so it's
I,
like three
I,
o'clock in
I'm
the afternoon here, so it's lovely.
I love starting early, like 4 or 5 a.m. because you've been in cities, you've been around the world. Seeing the sun come up and just commerce starting. I know it's weird, but just people starting and those people don't want to be there, but at the same time, it gives the discipline and the whole world. Like we all help each other without knowing it. So it's crazy.
Absolutely.
We're all essential, even though we don't always feel that way. I
But
know
there is an energy at that time of the morning that you just don't
mm,
get at any other time. So
it's Sappy's favorite. I love being in the coffee shop as soon as they open. I used to run a coffee shop, so it was bad. I'd have these Gen Zers, and they just be like, "Hey, I got some music. We're gonna play some Kill Bill. Let's go, coffee, coffee." I'm like, but eventually
yeah,
they'd wake up, and I was like, "All right, you do that. I'll do everything else." And when I opened, I tried to get like you had to separate tasks for the day, so I get everything done for 11 within the first hour because you can. But other people want to just come and complain, and that's life. I want to get my job done.
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely,
So
absolutely.
we are going to talk about another Brit. We talked
Yeah,
about double
we,
007 last
we
time.
talked about James Bond last time and Ian
There's
Fleming
been an
and
update.
007 and
There's been some, I heard some rumblings of like casting lists for 26, Bond 26. That's what it is now. So I'm like, okay, when they have a Bond with a number, that means it's going to be a movie. They
yeah,
don't say
yeah,
Bond number, and so
yeah.
that's really cool. All right. So your first experience with Alfred Hitchcock, or first time it came into your orbit, if you can remember.
Oh, I mean, obviously being British, we were brought up
Yeah.
on Hitchcock. Because obviously, in addition to all the films he did a little load of TV programs as well.
Yep. Alfred Hitchcock Presents.
And although he only directed 17 of them, I think there was about 100 and there was 130 odd that they did.
His name was
but he was the introducer, the presenter, and also the obviously the executive producer and all that sort of stuff. So I was introduced quite early to some of his shorts through those, and then of course through that you then start looking at the film side of things, and obviously the films are what he's best remembered for. And as you quite right said, there was the British era, and then the Hollywood era, and then he came back to Britain afterwards as well. So he came full circle. But so yeah, it was that was my first introduction, and I think it was just the whole because I used to remember it used to be like a Sunday night ritual. It always used to be on a Sunday night, and before, I think it was before Tales of the Unexpected.
Okay.
And it was only half an hour or an hour or whatever it was, and we only had like 2 or 3 TV channels at that time, black and white TV, and Sunday night, early evening, sort of 7, 8 o'clock, we would all gather around the TV set and watch a bit of Alfred Hitchcock, and that was my initial foray into it. And because I've always been interested in mystery, suspense, and what have you, of course, I'd be, I was sort of quite addicted to it quite early on. But and then it was just getting to see the films as and when they could. you had to wait obviously until they were on TV at the time
Yeah,
because we didn't
of
have
course.
video, we didn't have DVD and what have you.
Yeah, different time. People think they do not know. The kids do not know.
They-
If you want to
uh,
know, you have to wait years to
if
see, oh, Psycho's playing. I
if
got
you
to see
tell
it.
if you tell kids that today, they won't believe you. Now you're going to get me onto a Monty Python sketch, which
That's a
was
future episode. I have to catch
yeah,
up, but yeah, we have
we're
we
gonna
have like
you
4 or
need
5, so we're not
yeah
done.
you need to top up on Monty Python.
I just have like
Um,
2 movies I got, so I got to watch the show and the third one, I think.
yeah. So and then but they do a massive sketch on around kids won't believe you. Basically it was
Hmm.
when we were a lad, and they all do it with this very strong British northern accent. When I were a lad, we used to live in middle of the road,
Hmm.
in a cardboard box. Cardboard box luxury. We used to live in a septic tank. Yeah, and they built this whole sketch, and it's absolutely hilarious. And
Hold on, I will have to look
so
that one up.
you're going to have to look
I'll look
after that.
cardboard
I'm sure
box
it'd be
and
on. Yeah, we used to, we always live in shoebox in middle of the road, and and the line shot is, you tell kids today, they won't believe you. So
no,
that was the closing shot. But anyway, I digress. We're
no,
talking Hitchcock.
no. I post on other media, and what I've noticed, having worked with multiple generations of people, um, which is one of my favorite things, is everyone can listen to any song from any year because it's
Mhm.
not visual. And sometimes jingles, commercials, or like dun 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 dun, dun, you play that, someone will be like, "What is that?" And then you talk to them, and some people, I met people in my life, they're like, "I can't watch anything before I was born." I've heard them say that, and I'm like, "I get that." And then sometimes there's that quote unquote gateway drug because that was me as a kid. It was always on TV, but after
Mm.
a while, I started to realize, because I grew up with Nick at Night, so at a certain point, the cartoons would turn into 70 sitcoms, and I didn't feel like getting up.
Right.
That was that's another thing. That laziness and flipping the channel, you're like, "All right." And as a kid, and I'm hyperactive, I used to love commercials. I still do. And it's one of the weird things. It's like when I'm scrolling now, I feel like I'm watching commercials. I have gotten lost in commercial blocks, and then when it came back on TV, I was like, I don't want to watch this. But what I love about Alfred Hitchcock is he is known for his visual style, right? His silent movies aren't the best. Like
No.
his British work, you see him get better, but that's the thing. He became the master of suspense in Hollywood because he had worked 20 films in England, and by the end, he was amazing. I
Well,
have some.
it wasn't just that. It was, his whole. He started in silence, as you know,
Hmm.
in
Yep,
silent films, but
1922.
his first job as an apprentice, if you like,
Hmm.
was doing the between the scene boards, doing the design of the
Storyboards. Yeah,
scene
yeah,
boards.
yeah. He.
And then from that he then learnt obviously doing that, and then he was
Mhm.
doing cinematography.
Yep.
He was learning his apprenticeship before he became an assistant director and all this sort of stuff on a number of silent movies before he was given obviously the chance to direct his own silent movie.
Oh yeah.
So he's always been in movies
Hmm.
since the age of sort of 15, 16.
Yeah. I
Um,
did a. Yeah. And it's the fact he grew up with the silence, that visual, the fact that he had to tell stories with silent movies for so I have it. His first short's 1922. It was the number 13. It wasn't finished. His first feature film was in 1925, The Pleasure Garden, which it's a movie. Not good or bad. It's just, he did The Mountain Eagle in 1926, which was lost, and then he did The Lodger, a story. That's like the first Hitchcockian movie. It's kind of influenced
yeah,
by Jack the Ripper. And sound was coming around 1927, 1930, but he had been in that aura for like 7, 8 years. And then his movies would give you cues. And He has his style, and I'm a big Brian De Palma fan. He's considered a Hitchcock rip-off artist. In his stance, he says, "I'm continuing his language." I don't doubt he was my big influence. And then there's Dario Argento, who did giallo films, Italian horror movies. And sometimes his shot was so much more technical than the story, and it's cool. Like they did the shot, and you're like, "But what the hell was the point of it?" Like they liked Hitchcock, but Hitchcock always had a point, especially like when he would zoom in and then like Rope is one of my favorite. We're gonna get into that. I love
Rope is an incredible film. But
and it's based off a play. Oh my god. It's just so good.
But because you were talking about the one that was missing.
Mountain Eagle.
Mountain Eagle, which is basically considered the holy grail of British cinema.
It is the most sought out movie in the entire world.
Basically, if somebody's got a copy of that, it would be worth an absolute fortune.
Check
whether
your
somebody
basement,
has
folks.
got the yeah, absolutely, it would be literally
like that.
worth millions if there is because there must have been obviously a number of reels out there across the planet. There must be something somewhere in somebody's attic or in somebody's basement. A copy of that film could be worth an absolute fortune, millions. That would be worth, because the British film industry have been after it forever.
Of course. That's like the one missing piece. It's 52 out of 53 of his films are available, and they're like, even though it's not probably that great, it's like we need it.
Well, it's the only one that they haven't got that was finished.
That
was finished, because you mentioned that there was several that weren't finished, like 13 wasn't finished. And the reason it wasn't finished because it run out of money.
Of course. And the cool thing about the Mountain Eagle, it's in between Pleasure Garden and The Lodger, and he became Hitchcock in The Lodger. What's in that missing piece? And the thing is, we as fans would be like, this is where he first started it, even if it's the smallest thing, and we would lose our shit. You're familiar with Kubrick, obviously.
Well, Mountain Eagle was actually wasn't set in the UK, even though it was a British film. It was set in Kentucky.
I want to see this even more now.
It was a melodrama, I think. But it was, the write-up, it doesn't sound that good, but because it's gone missing, everyone wants it.
Pleasure Garden's not that good. It's not. Like, The Lodger is good. Like, of his silence...
The Lodger is very good, yeah.
The Lodger's the best of his silence. I think... I don't know. One of them had a sound version. I think it was Murder. Up until, like... Because he went... The Ring. I like The Ring. That's like a boxing
movie. You got Downhill.
Downhill.
It went The Lodger, Downhill, The Ring, The Farmer's Wife,
Easy Virtue,
Champagne, Maximum, and then the first real genuine sound one was Blackmail.
And there was a sound one and a silent one, right?
Yeah,
that was the one.
They done it as a silent one, and then Blackmail they then put, because that was at the time when sound actually started coming into cinema, so they reshot it.
1927 at the Jazz Singer, and I took a course years ago, French film, because cinema kind of started in France, even though Edison cinema started in France. The idea of projecting images for a paying audience
onto a screen.
That's the end of the day. That's why it's about money. And people get that confused. It's art and money. It's always been that way. And when people get frustrated, look up the definition, December 21st, 1895, whatever. Hitchcock, with the Mountain Eagle, I just want to talk about lost film for a second, because a lot of films from the silent era are lost. Like, we probably have less than 20% of all of them. And they were flammable. They also didn't see value. And when you watch silent film restored at 4K, you're like, that's just like us.
Yeah.
Life hasn't changed. We just think, oh, that's so long ago. Look, that's George Washington. Like, if he just saw us today, like, oh, you're just a dude. Yeah. And when I was younger, and the more I realized that we're not that different, because, and it's that understanding. with The Mountain Eagle being a lost film, Stanley Kubrick's first film, Fear and Desire, I remember was lost for a while, and then they found a complete print because he hated the movie. It was his first
Mm.
film. He released it. He bought all the copies. He's like, and it's fine. Now they have the full extended one. I remember that was a few years ago, but it came. Same thing with Metropolis. They said they found an extra reel for an extended version, and it was like in the basement in Argentina, and they're like, yeah, I didn't know what I had. So if anything, there's treasure out there, and I think
Absolutely, it'll be out there somewhere.
it will. Just like
Yeah,
Jerry Lewis, his movie, I think he
yeah,
had a movie
yeah.
that he kept hidden. It's going to be released. There's
Because it's funny actually. Metropolis. You mentioned Metropolis. I know we're
Mhm.
going off topic here,
No,
but
no, no.
Metropolis. When I was at uni, I was doing one of the courses I was doing was basically in film direction,
Fritz Lang.
and because I had aspirations not only as a writer, but I had aspirations of film direction as well, and I just thought, well,
Mm.
that looks like fun. I'll do that, and so I did the course, and the first film we had to work on, or study and whatever, was
Yeah.
Metropolis.
Mm.
So I had to do a deep dive on Metropolis. So that was quite interesting. Going back a few years, but and I've still got the DVD copy of it somewhere.
Yeah. No, it's a fantastic movie.
It's a great film. Great film.
It's
But
mind blowing what he did in 19
well,
and how.
that's the thing is German cinema at the time was the world leader.
Oh yeah, Fritz Lang.
In it was an absolute world leader in cinema and what have you, up until obviously the breakout of the Second World War,
of course.
And so but and of course the thing about the German film industry, it was that all the directors and producers were predominantly Jewish. Which was why the industry got absolutely wrecked, obviously in World War II. But that, so the technology was there, and it all came out of Germany. And Hitchcock spent a lot of time in Germany pre World War II,
right?
For exactly that reason, to learn about cinema and everything, so that he could produce better films.
And I'm glad you said that, because like if you compare Hitchcock's silence to Fritz Lang's silence, Fritz Lang's got him beat.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Career-wise, Hitchcock has Lang beat, because when Lang got to Hollywood, it wasn't the same as Hitchcock. And Lang actually met Joseph Goebbels and was in the process of going to make the films, and he's like, I got to get the hell out of here. And then him and Peter Lorre making M changed the world, right? That movie, and I watched it, and it's incredible. And and the other thing is, those early sound movies are kind of unbearable because they were on vinyl sometimes, Singing in the Rain. I feel like it's nice talking to you, because you're like, yeah, I know. Kids are like, wait, why was that? Huh?
Well, it was actually recorded onto a cylinder.
Yep. And then they'd synchronize it.
It was an Edison cylinder machine. And the old His Master's Voice with the big horn and all this sort of stuff. It was actually a cylinder. It wasn't a vinyl. It was a cylinder.
Really?
And so engraved onto a metal cylinder.
Because I think early sound, they tried different things, and then sound on film is what, like, they actually put the wavelengths. But Singing in the Rain showed that perfectly if the movie got out of sync.
Yeah.
And they've talked about how sound changed everything, but sound was always there, it just never caught on. When my French film teacher, he's like, cinema started in France, and it was World War I where America took over. But up until that point, Gaumont, the Méliès brothers. If you watch Hugo, it's Martin Scorsese's love letter to cinema pre World War I, and it's brilliant. It is brilliant. Like if a Trip to the Moon or Voyage to the Moon, and he hand colored it. That's the other thing. Color existed. It just was a pain in the ass. And my teacher said they tried everything in the fucking silent era. Excuse my language. It just didn't have legs. Like 3D has come and gone 12 times. Hitchcock has done 3D.
Yeah.
And then there was the 2018, and it's still around, but it's an expensive process, and they haven't streamlined it to the point. Maybe 50 years, it could be a contact lens, or they'll have some way file. I don't know.
That's what governed it all the time, is production costs. and when these directors start trying new things using new technology, when CGI first came out, cost an absolute fortune.
Oh yeah.
And so of course they would burn through their budgets and not be able to finish the film. So that's what held it back.
Yes.
And so that it was all driven by budget at the end of the day, and the producers would have the final answer. Because can we afford it? And at that time they couldn't afford it, so let's go with the silent.
Absolutely.
But it was interesting, the First World War, like you said, Hollywood took over, but it was the likes of Charlie Chaplin,
one of my favorites.
And Charlie Chaplin was British.
He's one of my all-time favorite people.
And so
artists.
A lot of the silent stuff, and but even then, talking about Charlie Chaplin, The Dictator. Oh, what a great film!
He took a shot at Germany before anyone else did.
Absolutely.
And he was branded as a communist later, and he always that message at the end was like someone at the Oscars. But the thing is, at the Oscars, it really doesn't mean anything what he did. He made a movie by himself at his own expense. And he had retired the tramp in modern times because the tramp never talked, because the barber is the other character. He made that clear. But Charlie Chaplin resisted sound. That was his concession to sound, and that was 1940. He had made City Lights in 1931. Sound was around. Modern Times in 1937 with sound elements and a singing scene, but he didn't talk until 1940.
Yeah, because he didn't trust his voice.
And then once he started talking, he has a beautiful voice. I was like,
but like all of us, what somebody else hears and what we hear are two totally different things.
That's true. No,
most of us hate hearing our voices. Yeah. I hate hearing my voice back. I mean,
I don't.
You get used to it, but
no, but I don't hate hearing your voice. I like hearing your voice. And like when I've been doing some of the editing of the clips, I just remember what you were talking. Some of the Bond films. No, you're talking about Casino Royale. You're like, it's dreadful. I'm like, and then the way you say it, I'm like, he's not wrong. And you say it with such passion, but it's the way you say it. I'm a huge Bob Dylan fan. He doesn't sing like anyone else. And people are like, why does he sound like that? I'm like, but he doesn't sound like anyone else.
It doesn't sound like he sounds like Bob Dylan.
He's like, how does it feel? They're like, well, someone was like, how does it feel? But he's like, but
that's his brand.
Him. That's him.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
that's his brand. Yeah.
He's like, well, he sounds stupid. Yet he's making more money than you criticizing him. So
talking about, going back to Chaplin and that film. A lot of the films between 1930 and 1940 that Hitchcock made.
Oh yes,
were
let's get into that.
Heavily influenced by what was happening in Europe at the time.
He had a front row seat,
and that came through all the writing. So because 1930 was what Murder, but then you had The Skin Game, Rich and Strange,
number 17,
Waltzes from Vienna.
Which is not a sequel to number 13, by the way, folks.
No, it's not.
It was made 10 years later, and you're like, oh, it could be. In today's day, it would have been, but Waltzes from Vienna, which is interesting. That was interesting.
But it was mainly From the Man Who Knew Too Much.
Yes, that was it. To 39
which was
steps.
that was espionage based.
Yes.
And then you had the 39 Steps. Which was obviously the remade as North by Northwest in America.
Yeah.
It's the same. The thing about 39 Steps is a great film. But the thing about 39 Steps is, with Hitchcock, he used common themes.
Of course.
Like
he said that himself.
Yeah. The definitive wrong man chase.
He made the same movie 100 times. Yeah.
And it's the same plot. It's about a definitive wrong man chase.
Saboteur. North by Northwest.
Loads of them.
The wrong man.
The wrong man. But then, so not 39 Steps was 1935.
Yes.
Then you had Secret Agent.
Correct.
Sabotage.
Yes.
And
Young and the Innocent.
Young and Innocent,
I like that one a lot more than most people do. I don't know. I feel like that one was one of
and
my
The Lady Vanishes.
yes, that was a good one. And they had a
And then
sequel-ish to that.
and then
Ish.
the last one he did before he went to Hollywood was the Jamaica Inn.
With Charles Lawton, and it's not that good, but I wanna like it because I like Charles Lawton. I can't
Yeah,
like I wanna like that movie, I like the set, but it's just it's I don't know. I maybe have to give it another shot. I haven't watched in a long time. And the thing is,
that's. I think
what
the older you get, the more you appreciate them. I
I think
think
so
it's,
too. Yeah, that's
you
true.
know, you understand the limitations that cinema has, because if you're used to watching modern,
Of course.
Avatar and
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff, modern films, you lots of use of CGI and lots of crack camera trickery and all
Of
that
course,
sort of
yeah.
stuff, then of course, looking at, you got to look at these old films, they're going to be completely different because it was within the limitations of the technology at the time.
That's
But
true.
what you got to look at is what the way specifically like Hitchcock would work with cinematography.
Mhm.
And that was how he got across suspense. Instead of showing a bomb under a table,
Yes.
he would imply that there is a bomb and then show you a clock,
Yes.
so that you knew, the reader or the viewer knew that there was a bomb under the table.
Mhm.
Nobody else knew there was a bomb under the table, but the suspense came from the clock.
Exactly.
So it was little things like that, rather than some big visual representation of a bomb under a table. But and in the same way, like the rope, everyone knew,
Yeah.
all the readers knew that in that box in the middle of the room in the party are two dead bodies,
Mhm.
but nobody in the room knew that.
What was weird was not weird. One of the bonus features, I remember, I think it was the screenwriter, because one of the great things about bonus features when you watch these DVDs, they could have recorded at any time, and the fact that they have it recorded, like sometimes it's people doing interviews. Peter Bogdanovich did a bunch of interviews with a lot of directors prior to their death, and it's because those tapes that we have it. Or Hitchcock and Truffaut, that's that famous Hitchcock. He has so many great quotes, and I try to explain that to people, like with the suspense versus shock. If you show a bus that explodes, that's shock. But if you show the clock, the time, the person, the kids,
that's
and then
suspense.
you don't want it to go off, and then it doesn't.
Yeah.
And the other thing I loved about him, which he would probably, I know he would chime in, but he's like, movies today are too long. He's like, unless there's an intermission, the movie's length should be dependent on the audience's bladder. I
Yeah.
love that line.
We've spoken about this a few times, and Maddox
Yes.
didn't believe us.
He didn't.
But because you told him it first, and then he didn't
Mhm.
believe you, and then I come out of it totally out of the blue and said exactly the same thing.
Exactly the
Because
same thing.
and Hitchcock was absolutely right.
He was.
That because it's all about the audience. It's you can only really create a suspenseful movie, an enjoyable movie,
You're
if
playing with each other.
you're going to retain the attention of your viewer. And if your viewer has got 2.5 hours into a movie and they're sat there squirming in the seat because they need to go to the toilet, then they're not going to enjoy the film, because they're now thinking about, I need to go to the toilet, I need to go to, and completely lose the experience.
Right.
So that's where that comment came from, that he said, basically a film should only be the length of a film should be determined by the audience's ability to maintain their bladder. And it's absolutely right. I hate going to the cinema and watching things like Lord of the Rings and what have you, because it's going to be, I need to book a week out for that.
Yeah. You can't drink anything beforehand.
No, you can't drink beforehand.
You really have to
can't
plan
drink
it.
during the movie.
Yeah.
I've got to pack some Sherpas and some overnight kit and some MREs, and because it's going to be a real test of endurance.
Unless there's intermissions though at certain movies, which I do appreciate.
I appreciate the intermission, but I think you get when you get into, particularly in a lot of cinemas, particularly in older British cinemas, the seats are incredibly uncomfortable.
Yes.
So longer than sort of an hour and a half, 2 hours, you just start squirming in the seat and all this sort of stuff. Oh God, Wendy, I need to go. I've had enough of this. And it might be the best film ever.
Yeah.
But you know, if you're uncomfortable watching it, I'll wait for it to come out on DVD.
So circling back to what you were talking about, this is getting to Hitchcock, I swear. Hitchcock, I had so many intro points. Like I've always was aware of him. The first time I was aware of him, I went to Universal Studios and in Florida, and they had like a Psycho exhibit. And I remember I was afraid of horror movies. My brother and my dad, they were into it, and I'd always cover my eyes. But I liked the posters. I liked the theory, and the thing is, they're watching these terrible things, but having a good time, right?
Yeah.
There's a photo of Janet Leigh, Alfred Hitchcock, and Norman Bates all just standing, and I'm like, oh, it's all fake. Like, but it was a photo, and then he's showing them, and I'm like, okay, he's telling me what to see, right? Like as a kid, I was like, I shouldn't be scared anymore. And then, the shower scene, all that. When I went to class, when I first started decided to do film, we watched Rear Window 2 weeks in a row. And the first time he's like, all right, we're gonna watch this, and the next week he's like, we're gonna watch it again, but now you've already seen the movie, so you got the enjoyment out. Now we're gonna look and break the hell out of this. I was like, okay. And there were so many films that I watched in that class I didn't like because I hated the seats. And when I stayed home, like the teacher would put the movie on and then leave. So a lot of times we had to get credit. This is back before the clickers, and now it's kind of like you have to be in class or whatever. But back then, if I could get the movie on streaming, this was still early days of streaming, like very, because like Citizen Kane, or if I had it, I'd watch it at home because the chairs sucked. And I realized I'm like, I don't hate the movie, I hate the seat. But with Rear Window, I remember he taught us two things. One, my teacher is Paramount sold all the films to Universal, and originally they cut off the Paramount logo. And when they restored it, the Paramount logo is part of the opening to Rear Window because halfway through the movie, like you see the curtains raised in the beginning, and then Grace Kelly pulls them down, and he's like, "This is so important." And then my teacher was obsessed with phallicness of it. And he's like, he pulls out the long lens, and then it's like, it's voyeurism. Like Rear Window is
Yeah,
voyeurism.
it is.
And
It is.
but he's like, he's telling the audience they're voyeurs. And it after watching it twice, you're like, okay, you see it. And then I'm a huge fan of Body Double because I like Brian De Palma, and you see how he takes that, but he like takes it to the nth degree of manipulation with the whole story. And with Hitchcock, he was when I decided I watched Casablanca like years before. I loved Ingrid Bergman, and then I got into Notorious. I was watching it as a kid, but I was fidgety. But I knew I liked it, but I wasn't watching it. And then when I came back, I started going through all of his movies. And this is 2010, so this is pre Blu-ray, or 2000 before Hitchcock was getting Blu-ray. So for Universal owns his best films, but there's a period. It's like 14 or 15. And then Warner Bros. They're all scattered. He needs one like a definitive collection, but the British sets are always because your copyright laws are different for our country. So they're all public domain here, which means since they're public domain, anyone could release them. So no one's really going to put the effort into restoring them. Unlike the BFI will restore the hell out of them. But that it took, and the other thing, it's like, well, who gives a shit about The Rich and the Strange in 2008? But by 2017, they probably restored everything else. Hey, let's take a look at that. And the way film restoration works, it's not what needs it; it's what needs it the most, because films deteriorate. And that's the thing with silent film, like the Mountain Eagle. It could be preserved somewhere, but then they could see it and it's crap. But you know, um, and there's lots of stories of deleted scenes. But I want to ask you, Man It Knew Too Much British, Man It Too Much American. Which one do you think's better? I have my opinion, and it will shock you. It won't shock you.
No, it won't. I think obviously the British version was the British version. The American version was the Hollywood version.
Correct.
The different was, I think Hitchcock was under pressure from producers to do it rather than wanting to do it himself,
Mhm.
because that was the big thing he had to navigate. Was in Britain, he wrote the rules, he wrote the law book, he could do whatever he wanted as long as it was in budget.
Mhm.
As soon as he went to the States, he then obviously signed up to, I forget the guy's name.
David O. Selznick.
That's it. He basically was the producer, and he signed up to his stable. And of course, in doing so, Selznick was known for being very heavy
Oh, yes.
on
He had
actually
just
being
he did Gone with the
involved in
Wind.
the production.
Oh yeah, Gone with the Wind. He fired 4 directors. He got the
Exactly.
Oscar, and then he
Yeah.
brought Hitchcock to give him Rebecca, the only Oscar-winning Hitchcock movie. But since Hitchcock wasn't the producer, he didn't get it, even though
Didn't
he
get
should
it.
have.
Yeah.
He should have
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah. But he had, and then of course Hitchcock had to navigate that sort of thing. So I think you'll find that the American version of A Man in New was not what Hitchcock wanted to produce, but it was the best that he could do given the Hollywood canvas he could now work with. Because the trade-off was, Hollywood has bigger budgets and I can do more with it, so it's a bigger canvas than what I had in Britain.
Right.
And so that was the trade-off. So okay, I need to give up some of the control, but I get a lot more to play with. And I think it in lots of ways, I think the American version was more a case of Hitchcock basically saying to the producers, look, I'll do it. I don't want to do it, but I'll do it because you've asked me to. So I think, he wanted to do other things, but to do other things, he'd had to do that one first.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of storyline and what have you, I think they're obviously very, very similar.
Same movie, yeah.
It's essentially, it is the same movie. But I would argue that the British one is better.
I agree with you. 100%. And because the DVDs, Universal had one, and then the Criterion Collection over here in the States. I know they recently, last 10 years, came over to you, and then we got Arrow from you. So it's kind of cool. But the Criterion Collection release had Guillermo del Toro talking about it, one of my favorite filmmakers. And you see like a scene of them panning, and you can tell that's like a train toy. But I was like, he's so much hungrier in that movie, and Peter Lorre is better than anything in the 50s movie. Just I'm saying.
Yeah.
Jimmy Stewart, I'd say that's probably the weakest of any of his collaborations with Hitchcock. Doris Day's good. It's Doris Day, right?
Yeah,
Kay
it's Doris Day.
Yeah. And I don't know if that was the best role for her. Like, I like Doris Day, but she was very like, I don't know.
Again, I think that was probably more the producer's influence
of course.
than
I
it
know.
was
I'm
Hitchcock's.
just saying, but the feeling of the movie of what you're going through with her, I'm like, it's not pleasant. Not saying, but her feeling, like she's great at acting, but it's just like, and probably shows the fear of the kid missing better than the British, but the British version just, I think he said a talented student, or Hitchcock may have said this. It was the work of a talented student, and then I was a master. And filmmakers a lot of times do that. Like technically the 50s one is a better movie.
Oh, absolutely. Production quality is so much better.
But creatively,
but the story,
it's shorter. The original one's shorter, and it gets to it. Another thing would be Gaslight. I never saw the original Gaslight because they tried to push it down for the Ingrid Bergman one. Or I saw parts of it. It was always lower quality, but I'm like, oh wait, I saw parts of it. I'm like, this is better because Charles Boyer and Ingrid Bergman, they Hollywooded up. But the original Gaslight is a great movie. It's just they Warner Brothers has the rights to it in America, and they're like, well, we like ours better. It's sometimes when you have the rights to something, you're like, yeah, we got it, but we can also make our stuff better.
Yeah.
That's
but yeah, no, that was and also, I mean, that was what, 1956, A Man Who Knew Too Much, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was during his golden period, though. That was like
Paramount. Absolutely.
That was like, so that's why it's good.
But what I liked about it is the fact that they still used the Albert Hall as a set.
Mm-hmm. And the symbols, I love that. Is the whole point of the whole movie.
Yeah,
I love that.
So he was very good at staying true to his roots in lots of ways. But yeah, I mean the mature peak, I suppose, it was 1954 onwards, something like that.
Let's see. Dial M for
Dial
Murder
M,
or Rear
starting
Winds?
Dial M for Murder.
Okay, so Dial and 3D. Back to 3D.
Yeah.
His first. That's a movie I would love to see in 3D. Probably the only one, just because he shot it specifically, and I've seen it in 2D, so I know where it's supposed to be. Like when the finger and I'd say he did 3 confined space movies, which were Lifeboat, Rope, and Dial M for Murder.
Do you know where the confined space came from?
I do not.
Right. Or his fear of it.
Oh, prison. Because the cell, his parents, when he was a bad boy, they gave him a letter. He took it to the police commissioner, and they put him in a prison cell. And then he stood there
overnight.
for. Yep. And that's the whole wrong man thing. But
Yeah,
that traumatizing event made his career.
Exactly. Because you got to remember is Hitchcock was not, a lot of people think that a lot of these people come from affluent backgrounds and all this sort of stuff. He was your working class East London barrow boy. And East London at that time he was born in 1899 or 1900, something like that.
It was 18,
late 1800s, wasn't it? And the East End of London at that time was, just think, Jack the Ripper.
Yes.
And on steroids.
Oh.
The East London at that time was absolutely the worst place in the country. It was all built around what used to be Docklands. And it really was. Rough doesn't even come into it. Which is why a lot of particularly criminal gangs and what have you all came out of East London. And he basically he was in Leytonstone, which is was born in Leytonstone, which is on the outer edges of East London. So he wasn't a true Cockney born within the sort of the Bow Bells and all that sort of stuff. But they literally, they lived in a flat above their grocer's shop. It was a family grocer's shop. So, that was Hitchcock's background. He was working class, East London barrow boy, selling apples and pears and what have you at the Sunday market, pound of bananas. And so he had that upbringing, and he was a tearaway. And so his father, to teach him a lesson, basically arranged with the police commissioner to lock him up in a police cell overnight. And that's where, and as a child, and he was a child. It was not as even if he was, he was only just like a teenager. But he was a child. To be put in that sort of scenario in a you can imagine what an East London prison cell was like at the turn of the century. It would have been rank. And he was locked up there overnight, and that's where his fear of confined spaces came from. And as you absolutely defined his career, and he leant back on that throughout his career. Yeah, and absolutely.
It's weird because you're like, oh, that's bad. His parents did it. They did it, but he grew from it, right? Like Batman.
He learned from it.
He embraced his fear.
Yeah.
And I like, a lot of times he said the most boring part of the movie was making it, because he already made the movie. He hated filming. Yeah, he's like, he likes sets. He liked air conditioning. He always wore a suit. And I like how other directors do that. And I've noticed, like, I've done other stores where you're not supposed to wear a suit. I show up in a suit. I think of Alfred Hitchcock. I'm like, he sets the tone. And, it's crazy how he's like, this is going to be it. Like, The Wrong Man, Dial M for Murder, not Dial M for, North by Northwest, Someone on the Run. But he works well. Like, he keeps doing the same. It's like you keep making the same movie over and over.
What he does is basically comes up with a formula. And he just adapts the formula accordingly.
That was another one. The Wrong Man.
Yeah, The Wrong Man. Yeah. So, and you don't break a winning formula.
No, absolutely not.
And it's to say, because there are, if you look at any plot, there's thousands of people like me writing thriller novels on a daily basis. There's what 70,000 books a week on new books on Amazon, 10,000 a day being uploaded. All right, not all fiction, but fiction and non-fiction.
Well, take out the AI and maybe there's 50 human written ones.
Yeah, but it's still
No,
significant.
It's competition.
It's still significant.
Yes.
But the thing is, in all these thriller novels, there is never any new plots.
Of course. Well, there's like 7 plots.
There's literally only like 6 or 7 plots. If you go back through history, every story that's ever been told will have a similar plot.
Yeah.
Odyssey. And so
he
Hitchcock applied that to movies as well. And also he obviously that how he then told those stories were the thing, but his cinematography, the classic shots that so many other directors have stolen since.
Of course.
But we're
the
here.
Vertigo shot.
Yeah, well, the Vertigo shot, which is the stair
zoom in
shot.
and dolly out, right?
That's right, the zoom in and so on, but also the stair shot.
Yes.
They got the stair shot, which in Vertigo, and also in 1 or 2 other films as well.
Suspicion with the milk, or when Cary Grant was coming up and oh my God, that Suspicion's so good.
I think that's you look at you always ask the question, particularly in American movies, because in America it's more, you have more apartments than houses, if you know what I mean.
No,
and so whenever you see a detective or whatever, the person he's got to interview is always on the top floor. In every Hollywood movie, he's always on the top floor. Why? Because they then get the stair shot.
Of course, yeah.
And you see it so many times in movies. And one day somebody will live on the ground floor, but that would be uninteresting. So you have to make them live on the top floor so they can get a stair shot.
And then if it's a video game, you have to beat up all the bad guys to every level.
Exactly. It's a formula.
It's like climbing the ladder of life in a way.
Yeah.
All right. I have a couple of interesting questions. Who's your favorite recurring Hitchcock collaborator that's not his wife? Because his wife is his best
I was going
collaborator.
to say his wife.
No, his thank you speech to his wife is one of my favorite things that, like, I know he wasn't a perfect man or whatever, but what he said about his wife, like, that's like, I don't know, I could cry. It's one of the most, it's a beautiful moment. And she did everything.
She did it. She was his editor, and she practically co-wrote most of this stuff.
Oh yeah. She's the silent hero.
She never got the credit that she did, because Hitchcock was not responsible for all this.
Of course
not. It was the team of people around him.
He was a brand. Hitchcock was the brand. Alfred Hitchcock presents,
was the
and
brand,
they're like, let's go with it.
It was the other people around him that made it happen. But I would have said absolutely his wife.
Yeah. That's why I said that was like, I know it's his wife. We have acting. So he did a few movies. He did 3 with Ingrid Bergman. He did 4 with Cary Grant. He did 4 with Jimmy Stewart. He did a collection of movies with Bernard Herrmann. But then there's movies he didn't do with Bernard Herrmann. So it's When he lost Bernard Herrmann, though, I think that's when his movies started to fall. Like, in terms of musically, like, he was at the peak Psycho, Birds, and then he rejected the Bernard Herrmann score, and then I think that was the end of their relationship.
Yeah, I think because film scores are so important to any film. Because you could a film can make or break on its score.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously Bergman
Psycho,
would have been
North by Northwest are not those movies without his music, without Bernard. And the same thing, Psycho is a huge influence on Halloween. Halloween is nothing without the music. Like, they said they show kids that movie without the music and they're not scared because it's like,
well, no, because it's the music that sets it up, and it's the same in any film. It's the music that makes you jump out your chair.
It's sight and sound. Movies is not just sight. And that's even with the silent films, there was music. as an accompaniment. It depended on the studio, and then eventually they
Well,
had a
yeah, normally it
yeah.
used to be like a piano or an organ at the
Yeah.
front of the theatre.
All right, guys, what are we playing today? Is he playing the entertainer during Hitchcock? Yes. Da, 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 da. Okay, so, but do you have a, is someone stand out? Because it was Ingrid Bergman for me that made me want to see more Hitchcock movies. Because that
Yeah,
Notorious poster, I love Ingrid Bergman. Love her.
yeah, yeah. I mean, absolutely. I wouldn't disagree with you, to be
Okay.
honest. But there were so many important people. I think Jimmy Stewart, it was a good relationship.
Yeah. And then they had a falling out from Vertigo because he thought he was too old, which he wasn't. But he,
Yeah.
Hitch probably was insecure because he's like, "This is my most personal film. It's your fault, Jimmy." What? And then him and Kim Novak do the witch movie, which is it's kind of like that happy ending for Vertigo-ish. Bell and Book and Candle or something.
I think probably one of the key moments I remember was the way Hitchcock basically, he played with the audience,
Of course.
and particularly in Psycho, because the audience had become settled at the girl actor being,
Janet Leigh. Yep, she's
Janet
the lead.
Leigh.
She's the star.
She's the lead. She's the star. She's the protagonist, and then he kills her halfway through, and it's like it wasn't the horror of her being stabbed that was it was the fact that she was stabbed halfway through the movie when everyone was expecting her to be the main protagonist, and she wasn't. And I think that was, for me, was Hitchcock all over. He used to play with his audience, and I loved that about him.
All right, so we hit Psycho. I think Psycho is peak. Like, that's Hitchcock at the top of it. Like, Birds is very close, but I think
Birds
Psycho
was
is
great.
But
Psycho was probably the pinnacle of that. That is your classic. That's the first thing classic Hitchcock.
Yes, because I like the Psycho franchise. I like Dress to Kill, which is based on Psycho. And recently, there was a TikToker or influencer that did a local screening of A Star Is Born in my area, the 1950s one, in widescreen, the closest. And before the show, he said, "Do you know why there's show times? Because prior to Psycho, there was no such thing as a showtime. You would basically go into the cinema, you'd give them, and you'd pay, and you'd go in the middle of the movie, and then you'd watch, and they just show it on loop."
That's interesting, because you call it A Star Is Born, don't you?
A Star Is Born was the Judy Garland
Stage
one.
Fright. It was called Stage Fright.
Which one?
In the UK. Star Is Born, I think you'll find, it was called Stage Fright.
Not the Hitchcock movie. I didn't. No, I'm just saying it was. No. I know there is a Stage Fright movie. I'm just saying. A Star Is Born was Judy Garland. When I attended that screening, the host was telling me about telling us about. Sorry. It's like, do you know why there's showtimes? And then Hitchcock said he changed the entire industry. He's like, no one will be admitted after it starts. And they're like, that's a 1960 up to 1895. They're like, we've been doing this for 70 years. Who the fuck are you? No one's going to spoil this movie. And that Psycho gave us times.
Yeah.
You would just go to the movie house. Here, let me go. And then you see that in like old detective movies. Yeah, they go in the middle of the movie, and then they just get like, going to the movie theaters is just some place to hide out sometimes, and then like they just keep showing it on the loop. But Hitchcock's like, no one's going to spoil the movie, and then the reviews, like, that was unheard of, and people weren't used to it. And then he had the twist ending. Like the big twist ending, which was him competing with Henry Georges Clouzot, who did it in Diabolique when she came out of the bathtub, and then and I think he was envious, or he saw him as stiff competition, because I don't know if you've seen Wages of Fear, but that movie was probably just as suspenseful as anything Hitchcock did. And I was like, I could see why he was afraid of this. Not afraid, but he's like, I got to beat him. And competition's good for directors.
Competition's absolutely.
It's never bad. You're like, oh, you're better than me. How do I get better?
Well, it's like, during the 80s, nobody could touch Spielberg.
Oh my God.
Nobody could even come close to Spielberg. Nobody wanted to go and see a movie unless it was done by Spielberg.
It's true. And then he just put his name on it. It's Back to the Future. He produced it. He didn't direct it. He's like, you know. Um, are there any underrated Hitchcock movies that you think should be talked about more? Like, I think The Paradine Case, not that
Well,
it's a good one,
we got
but
53, including one missing one to choose from.
well, I mean,
Uh,
just no, because
I
we always hear the same ones. You'll always hear Strangers on a Train,
yeah.
Psycho. Like, you don't hear about The Trouble with Harry or Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Not that they're bad movies, they're just comedies, which, yes, Hitchcock can do comedies. He is a good director. They're not the funniest movies of all time, but they're just there.
Well, but he did do a couple that weren't even suspense or thrillers.
Waltz from
Um,
Vienna was just a movie. Was like just a movie.
yeah. So he sort of played around with some different things, but um, it is difficult, to yes, everything's overshadowed by Psycho, but
It is, yeah.
it's
It's a good movie.
it's a great movie. But that he did do, if you just at random picked a Hitchcock movie, I would quite happily sit there and watch it.
Okay, I'm the
Yeah,
same way.
well,
Yeah.
literally after we had this conversation where we said, we should do something. We were talking about 39 Steps,
Yes.
and after we finished, and that was at like 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever.
Mhm.
The next night I thought, do you know what? I've got to watch 39 Steps again.
How was it?
And it was great. You look at it with it's lame in terms of the acting or what have you, but it was
Dated.
great.
It's the
It
perfect
was
MacGuffin
great.
too. It's the perfect MacGuffin. You never
Yeah.
see it. And then at the end of the movie, you find out you're like, oh, what is the 39 steps? What is it? And it's the MacGuffin. It's all. I was
Yeah.
like, oh,
Um,
Hitch.
so the trouble is there is so many. Like I say, you could pick any. If you said I'm gonna, whatever. I think Rope is one probably not talked
That's true.
about enough.
It's not. It's so good.
Because I would say that is up there with Psycho, but it never got the credibility.
I agree. It's also the swiftest movie. It's like an hour and 20 minutes,
Yeah.
and I love Jimmy Stewart. I like
Well,
Farley Granger.
because he introduced the concept of the one take, the single
Yes.
continuous take.
12 minutes. That was the most he could get, and then he'd go behind chairs and stuff, but
Yeah.
it worked. And
Yeah.
he does one cut in the entire movie. Like, I remember my teacher showed me. It's like close to the end, but you're like, why the whole movie does he decide to do that? And Under Capricorn, which has always been a bizarre movie. It has Ingrid Bergman and Joseph Cotten and Alfred Hitchcock. This should be my favorite movie. I love everyone in this movie, but they did long takes in there ish, but it wasn't the same. He did experiments, and that was I think one of the most bizarre movies in his
Yeah.
catalog at that
Yeah.
time. You're just like, huh, I need to revisit it again. But every time I
Well,
watch it,
yeah, but I think
I want to like it more than I do.
yeah, but the themes that he chose and all that were unusual at the time. It was more
Yes.
about repression, alcoholism,
Yeah.
colonial
Yes.
power.
Which going over
And
most people's
like you
head.
said,
Yeah.
the long take was an experience. That was an
Yes.
experiment.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Each movie he was trying different things all the
And
time.
back to Stage Fright. First one where he has the flashback is a lie, and they're
Mhm.
like, you can't do that. And it's like, why?
Trust me. Yeah, I can,
The
and he
unreliable
did.
narrator. It's like
The unreliable flashback.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, wait, you can't do that. Why? I think that was one of
Why?
the first ones.
Yeah.
Is that the one with his daughter? Pat was in a few movies. I think she was in Stage Fright,
She
Psycho, and
might have been
maybe
actually. Yeah, because it was about a young actress, wasn't it?
I know she wasn't the star. It was Jane
No,
Wyman,
but
who always she kind of looked like Pat Hitchcock at that age. So I was like, huh. And I like what his daughter always said. She's like, my father would not have cast me in any movie that he didn't think I belonged in. And I was like, that's true. She wasn't in everything. Leo G. McCarey, he's in 6 Hitchcock movies. He's the one. But they're always small roles. Spellbound, that ending, right? The you can't even. I don't know if we could talk about it. It'll probably get taken down because the shot of he takes the oh my, and then you see a flash of red. And Spellbound is always lost within rights in America, at least. It's not on DVD available easily. You have to find
Mm.
it. And it's a different movie, and Salvatore Dali worked with him on that. He did the dream sequences
But
with
but what I like, Hitchcock was really clever. He introduced obviously like point of view shots.
Yes, that gunshot,
which was
quite literally.
And where you as a viewer took over from the protagonist. So you were seeing it through their eyes, which is, he used that a lot, and it was really powerful. The Rear Window one.
Yes. Oh yeah, with at the end when he comes and he sees them there.
Yeah.
You know what? Another Hitchcock experiment I like. I think it's Torn Curtain. I'm not sure. It's the one where they have the fight scene with that German guy, or the guy, and they stick his head in the oven. Was that it? When they're having this very long fight scene. And the thing is,
Possibly.
Hitchcock was like, they always kill people too fast. It's actually harder. Like that was the point of the scene. And
Yeah.
then the funny thing is, the guy's like almost laughing that when they're killing him, he's like, "All right, you don't want to do this," because but it's like he's going along with it. He's like, I kind of like that. It's just very bizarre. That's like one of the most memorable Hitchcock villains, other than the guy from Saboteur. I think his last name's Kruger. He is my favorite Hitchcock villain because he is so arrogant. And I'm like, this guy is so good. He's just like almost Mr. Burns in his way.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't like nobody talks about that movie because the actor, I don't even remember who the lead actor is, but it ends on the Statue of Liberty. That's, Statue of Liberty. He'd pick a place and then we go there. Statue of Liberty, Mount Rushmore. Hitchcock was very good. He's like, well, let's go location, and then we make the movie around that. And then De Palma did that. You have a set piece, and the North by Northwest scene is pretty awesome. That ending on top of Mount Rushmore, hanging onto the nose, and then Family Guy did it when they came back, and it was one of the greatest. It was great.
Yeah, I loved it when Family Guy do this stuff. I'm a huge Family Guy fan because it just cracks me up.
That was so big when they came back. Like I remember it was
Yeah.
canceled, and then I got into a DVD. But when it came back, it was like, oh. And then you're pirating Hitchcock, yeah.
We could do another show on Family Guy. So
all right,
we need
hold on.
We need to do that. We need to do that after Monty Python.
Okay, Monty Python. I like American Dad over Family Guy. Just letting you know.
See, I prefer Family Guy. You see,
Seth MacFarlane's best work is Ted the TV series, though. I know that's a bold claim, but Seth MacFarlane's perfect in sitcom, and that I give it a shot.
I love what's it called, the Star Trek ripoff.
It starts with an O.
The Orville.
Right?
The Orville.
That's it. I never watched it. I wanted to. I like Seth MacFarlane, so I want him to always succeed.
Well, the thing is, actually, Seth MacFarlane, and we're going totally off piece now.
Yeah,
actually appeared done a couple of cameo roles in Star Trek.
That makes sense. Okay, I can see that.
Genuinely, he did. I think it was in not Next Generation. It would have been in.
Do we need a Star Trek episode too?
We possibly could do a Star Trek episode. Let's add that to the list.
All right, I got 3 so
because
far.
that would have been. We were going to do a Sherlock Holmes one as well.
Okay, no, I need to keep the list. I love Holmes.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. It was on Enterprise. You remember the
one with Scott
Bakula?
The
series.
Yes, I remember that one.
I'm pretty sure I think he might have done one on Next Generation towards the end of Next Generation, and then he did one on Enterprise.
That makes sense.
But it was definitely, Seth MacFarlane done a couple of sort of cameo roles in Star Trek, in the Star Trek universe.
See, once we talk about one thing, we find 5 more. This is what's great about our conversations.
I'm really disappointed with our current crop of Star Trek.
Picard? It has been Picard?
No. Picard's great.
I stopped at the last. I saw the second movie. The one with Khan, but he wasn't Khan, but he was Khan.
No,
Into Darkness. That's the one.
Yeah, no, this was
They had a few shows, I know.
Yeah, Discovery was good. And under the Underdecks or whatever it was called, that's hilarious. But no, the most recent one is the name escapes me at the moment. But it's very disappointing. Very disappointing.
But
It
it'll
had
bounce
so much
back.
promise.
It'll bounce back.
Had so much promise.
Not
But anyway,
that show, but
that's for another. That's for another episode.
But that's a story for another time.
We're
We're
gonna have to come up with a theme tune, Sappy, for all these things we're doing. We need a theme tune.
We're gonna have a separate show that we're just gonna have to co-host. So we'll have our own show and then the show together. I love it. We are collaborating. Foreign Correspondent. I think that's got to be one of the most underrated Hitchcock movies.
Yeah,
like it's and then when you watch it, the windmill, the umbrella scene, and it's funny how like these small scenes in a Hitchcock movie made 70, 80 years ago still resonates. And I like when we're talking about Gen Z people taking these classes, a lot of, well, I'm millennial, but I always liked stuff older than me, so people would always complain about it, and I would be the one like, well, sir, I'm sorry this isn't what you like, but the fact that it's made for audiences means it's universal. Like Kurosawa and Hitchcock made films for their audience. I don't think I've ever seen an Ingmar Bergman film, and I'm a huge cinemaphile, but people are like, oh, you have to see it. I'm like, I'll get there. It's just, he makes very moving movies or very artistic. I haven't seen any Fellini either, but there's other directors I have seen. Nope, I lied. I saw 8.5, but it's cool how much of an impact he had because he crossed over to television, and now he became the first director brand almost. Like, not that there were directors out there, like Cecil B. DeMille was always around, but Hitchcock was like brand, and now we're going to take it to television because a lot of, especially with television coming out, it was a competition to cinema. And Hitchcock's like, no, it's not.
No, it's not.
It's more eyeballs.
It's just another medium.
And that's where, and he did that same time as Twilight Zone. And Twilight Zone had, I think, a longer lasting effect as a show than Alfred Hitchcock Presents. But Alfred Hitchcock Presents only presented a bigger mat for like his advertising. It's like if he was posting every day, right? Think of that. If Alfred Hitchcock that's his equivalent of posting.
He was posting every day, and he was writing short stories.
And that was in the 50s.
And the films were his novels. That's and
Substack. Listen, that's right there.
That is my strategy right now.
Boom.
Post every day, write short stories to share with the world, to introduce people to the world of the Thompson-Newman files, and then basically buy my book. And that's. So I'm following exactly the same strategy. He was just doing it for, sort of 60 years ago.
But the thing is, what's old is new again, because you see that with fashion, like when you live long enough, you see
nothing
things repeat.
new.
Yeah,
exactly. There is nothing new. It's just
redone,
redone,
or
rejuvenated,
reinterpreted. Yeah, and we're very cyclical as a society, but like, it's funny because, I don't know if you ever get caught up in social media for older, or when you're like, oh, back in my day, and I'm like, one of the things I've learned so much from elder people or young, like, don't let the old man in. Embrace the change, like Hitchcock was adapting to it, but by the end, he was not willing to shoot on location, and his films suffered because of that, because he returned to Europe for Frenzy, which I liked, but it's a weird movie.
Yeah, and Family Plot was his last one, wasn't it?
Yes, and that one, I don't hate it. It's just different, and it's like it was one of the movies.
It was more your typical British comic caper.
Yeah, but I liked it. It's
pure
cute.
suspense. Yeah,
I think it was a cute movie. And the
Yeah.
cemetery scene, that shot where he had the camera and Bruce Dern's walking, and Bruce Dern is hilarious. If you've seen him in anything in The Burbs, he's like, oh, I don't know why, but he's just his mannerisms are just perfect, and he's himself. He's like they don't make actors like him anymore because actors, but he was an actor, not a star. Not saying he wasn't a star. I'm saying, but he was an actor and he became a star. You know,
But he was very, Family Plot was very much a lighter thriller.
it was. And
You know,
William Devane was the bad guy.
yeah, it worked.
And they fired the original guy, I remember. I heard there was a story where Hitchcock had brought, I forgot who it was, and the guy went up to Hitchcock while he was having dinner and it's like, why'd you fire me? And they said Hitchcock just sat there. He didn't know what to say, And, but that's like, it's one of those things. I love the bonus features of the stories because they always give me these little tidbits, and then that makes me think of that, which makes me think of that. Topaz is a movie I forget. You could tell me about it and be like, okay, there's a part in the war because Torn Curtain has Mary Poppins. I'm forgetting her name right now, and Paul Newman.
Yeah,
and that's an interesting movie. Very interesting dynamic because Paul Newman goes dark, which I like, but after The Birds, it went all.
but that was quite early in Paul Newman's career, wasn't it?
It was. Like he wasn't. I don't think he was not the Sundance Kid. Who was the other one? He wasn't Butch Cassidy yet, or at least
No.
he was about to be.
Butch and Sundance came later, didn't they?
Yes. And but so many good.
But no, I mean, because this was very much focused because obviously at the time it was very much about the Cold War.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the films at that time that Hitchcock was producing were based on current events.
Yeah, well, yes, same with
like
World War
the
II.
Cold War. Same with World War II.
Exactly. Yeah, and he did good in those.
But also, here's another Hitchcock thing not included in his 52 or 53 or however many he did. Is the films he did at the end of the war, which because they'd done a big film about the exploring what was happening in the concentration camps.
Oh, yes, he did war films. Yes, he was part. Well, I think every director at that did or participate. Or big director, like did some war effort. Yeah. Bon Voyage, was that one of them? Bon Voyage and something else. I know it was like a couple of them.
But they don't go down. They're not credited on his 50-odd.
I think the short, like if it's shorter than an hour, they don't consider it like.
Yeah, they don't. They don't.
In shorts, yeah. And that's a bizarre thing with people. Is like sometimes the shorts can be harder to find, even though they should be easier to find.
Yes, it was Bon Voyage. Yes, it was Bon Voyage.
Okay. Some of these names,
and there was another one as
well. Fighting Generation, is that it?
Yeah, Aventure Malagac. That's French.
Oh. What movies did he do in France? Did he shoot in France? I feel like one of the war movies, or maybe an espionage. Let's see, what else? I Confess.
Do you?
No, I mean,
I didn't realize I was holding confession. The
movie I Confess.
What do you want? What do you want to confess to me and to the world of Substack?
Well, it's time to not. It's sorcerer time. I Confess, that one was interesting where a murderer confesses to a priest after he does it, and the priest can't tell, and then the priest, I think, is about to go to jail, like that wrong man thing.
Well, the priest became the murder suspect. And
he, based on his faith, and I was like, huh. I thought that was a interesting Hitchcock take. It was it wasn't Robert Montgomery, was it?
It's the wrong man syndrome again.
Exactly. And that didn't come out, and the wrong man came out not too long after that.
Yeah. Because it was all about this vow of, obviously any confession to a Catholic priest is sacrosanct. And so, of course, even though the Catholic priest was being accused of the murder, and he knew because of the confession who the murderer was, he was not allowed, because of his faith, to tell the police who the murderer was, because that would have been breaching his code, if you like, of being a Catholic priest. So I think that's a really, really interesting
It's probably one of the
spin.
best concepts,
Mm.
and we won't spoil the movie for you. If you want to know what happens to the priest, you're just gonna have to watch it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to watch it.
The
It's
only
been out
person that
since
could tell
1953.
the only person who could tell you was the person who can absolve. Yeah, it's so good. He's like, you can absolve yourself, you just can't
Yeah,
spiritually.
yeah.
All right, so we mentioned The Wrong Man so many times, but let's talk about The Wrong Man, the only pairing of Henry Fonda and Alfred Hitchcock. And I like Henry Fonda. He's a very, very subtle actor, but it's his subtleties that make him good. Once Upon a Time in the West is one of my favorite roles of him as
Mhm.
Frank, and he shows you what a vicious killer he could be. He's Tom Joad. And in this one, he plays the everyman, like he's pretty much Tom Hanks, Jimmy Stewart, and this is I think the only one of the Hitchcock stories. It's based on a true story, like actually based, and I think they use that in the marketing. And this one, I think, is his childhood with the prison, because you go like him getting booked, as they would say, is a major plot of him getting the fingerprints. And Henry Fonda looks so helpless and he's terrified, but he doesn't want to show fear. And
Mhm.
when you see the guy at the end, and then like what he wants to say to them, remember he's like, you ruined, or something like that, and the guy's like, okay, or something. It's been a while since I've seen it, but he's the wrong man, and he did nothing. He just happened to look like the person, and I think that movie really he hit that prison harder, because like North by Northwest, oh, I got me mistaken. I'm not this guy, but this one, like, nope, you're going to jail, and he's not on the run. He's caught. That's the thing. All the other ones are running. They don't always get caught. And I like that one, and I think that one gets overshadowed too, because that's in his peak period around there. It's like he did that before Vertigo.
Yeah,
You're like, what? He's like, after The Trouble with Harry and To Catch a Thief, which is, I think To Catch a Thief is probably one of his most fun movies. And the
yeah,
cameo, probably the best cameo is Cary Grant with the,
yeah.
uh, he just turns on the
But
button.
the wrong man was interesting but it was, like you said, because it was based on true story. Is
Yeah,
the factual realism of it.
yeah,
I think that's what set it aside. But again, wrong man theme.
yeah. Wrong Man.
Consistently the wrong man theme. Even though it's called the wrong man.
Yeah, that's.
But I mean, we could sit here and add up I reckon probably a good 20 of his 50 odd films were wrong man theme.
If you have the exact number or you happen to know, comments below.
Yeah.
We don't want to count.
Yeah.
Come on.
We
Come on.
can't be bothered to go through it. We could go through it.
We
but
could go
we
through
would
it,
be
but
here quite
people
well.
like being right. Put it in the comments.
Yeah.
Come on. Save us time. You know it off the top of the head. How dare we don't? Uh, so I'd say,
But
yep.
the thing was, I think it was overshadowed because it was immediately, his next one was Vertigo.
Yeah. And that was a failure at the time. Huge failure.
Yeah, and then obviously North by Northwest.
Oof. That's a movie watch to anyone.
And then Psycho. So no wonder the wrong man got lost in it.
It's like the Hemsworth brothers. You're like, oh, there's another one. There's another
and
one.
then,
Yeah.
And then what we had, The Birds after that as well.
Yep.
I mean, you got probably the two best Hitchcock movies, one after the other, Psycho and then The Birds.
Mm-hmm.
So, I would actually say to anyone, if they said which Hitchcock movie should I start with, I would probably say The Birds.
I'd say North by Northwest. That would be that or The Birds.
Yeah,
because they're both not. The Birds isn't like horrific. It's suspenseful, but it's not horrific.
That's what I like. I think it's scary.
Except that one scene with the person's eyes. That was kind of.
Shh. Spoiler alert.
Oh, that shot though. The boat. Oh, it's like, oh, that's such an epic scene, and you're just waiting and waiting and waiting, and he's taking his sweet ass time, and I love when Hitchcock takes his time, but he's not wasting our time. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference. He does that
Yeah.
very well.
There's a method that, basically you learn that with Hitchcock. He's holding you there for a reason.
Oh, he knows what he's doing. Ah, my suspenders. Um, his personal favorite film was Shadow of a Doubt that he made.
Really?
Of all of his films, that was his personal favorite. And it's such a small movie, not small, but it's a film noir, which I love. Film noir is one of my favorite. It's not a genre, but style because they're all
Yeah.
melodramas. Uh, I love it because Joseph Cotton's so good. Like, um, and that the scene where he's like wasting their life, and the camera's coming up every single day, and she's like, "But they're alive, are they?" Or, oh my goodness, that POV shot of just like, how are they? And then the person who loves him the most figures out who he is. Not spoiling, but and it's him in a small town, and then the dad and the best friend talking to each other about the murders. Like that's the
Yeah.
most. You're like, oh, he could have done this, and then once the girl finds out, oh, I like it because I like. That's another thing. He's on the run, but he's not telling anyone.
Yeah.
So it's not the wrong man, but it's not a good man on the run. That's where the change is. And one of my favorite things that Joseph Cotton said, he said, well, Orson Welles said his favorite movie was Citizen Kane. Um, Carol Reed said The Third Man, and Alfred Hitchcock said The Shadow of a Doubt. And I'm in all three, so
Well, Shadow of Doubt was quite a good film. There's no. It was an interesting.
oh, it's so good though. But
Yeah.
it was
It
Hitchcock's
was.
favorite
It was
film he made, which is
evil in small
interesting.
town America. It was.
It's simple.
Yeah.
It and I don't know. It gives
It's
me
like it reminds me of sort of things like Amityville and
yes.
those sort of things. And what was the? Yeah, I will come back to me, but there was
Like
a
it.
couple of films with similar sort of vein, very sort of horror related, but set in small town
Mm.
USA.
Stephen King goes crazy with
Yeah,
that.
Stephen King's crazy with it.
All
Um,
the things I think. Stranger Things to an extent goes off that. It just intensifies the element. But I think a lot of people like the small town, and I think a lot of people want that just in life. It's
yeah,
just
well,
we don't want the hatred and stuff. Like we want
yeah,
that feel because and that
yeah,
familiarity. And I
yeah,
think the fact that that's being violated by this man is what is the most terrifying because this man's in your home and you're like, oh, because when you're on the screens, oh, it's a city, and you're like, oh, this man just chilling in the. He was good with that. Rope we talked about extensively, and
yeah.
if there's one movie anyone watches, try the
What
Rope.
about Mr. and Mrs. Smith?
Oh, what's Carol Lombard, right? That's her. And
It was very different for
oh, it was a screwball
Hitchcock.
comedy.
It's a marital comedy.
And nothing related to the Angelina Jolie and
No,
Brad Pitt
it
one.
just
The
had the
same title.
same title.
Same title, literally nothing to do with it. And I remember the scene with her skiing or something at the end, and then I didn't know that. I watched. They talked about how Lucille Ball was hugely influenced by Carol Lombard, and I'm like, I didn't know that. And I was like, huh, because she was this physical comedian actress. For women, there was no physical comedian
Yeah,
actresses, at least at that level. Not saying they didn't exist, but at that level or in mainstream. And oh, that's a fun one. I need to revisit that one. I think I only watched that once, and it was on the DVD. It was a Warner Brothers 9-disc set, and it's just in there. That it had that, The Wrong Man, Stage Fright, Strangers on a Train. I can
Saboteur.
Saboteur, Suspicion, Suspicion. Cary Grant, his first one, and that one I think Hitchcock wanted him to be the killer. I think, or no. That was one of the ones where I think he was forced to change the ending based on what the studio wanted.
Hmm.
The suspicion. Because remember, like the car door at the end, and you think he's trying to kill her, and that is, I forgot. He got to work with both sisters from Gone with the Wind and Rebecca. I forgot their names. They were
Can't
both
remember.
like 90. Vivian Lee, and then she had a sister. who was in Rebecca, like, he worked with both. Like, so he did Rebecca and then Suspicion. Mm. Cary Grant, I like. I liked him in Hitchcock movies because he felt perfectly like Hitchcock knew he had him in To Catch a Thief, North by Northwest, and then he's a total
It's
badass and
quite.
notorious. Total
I mean,
badass.
you got to take your hat off to Hitchcock. He managed to work with a lot of the big stars in Hollywood. Cary Grant and what have you. So they helped each other. Basically, you got one of the top directors working with top stars, and what could possibly go wrong?
Egos. Have you seen the movie Hitchcock about the making of Psycho with Anthony Hopkins?
A long time ago, yeah, I did see it. But yeah, because well, obviously that was off the back of Silence of the Lambs, wasn't it? And he was
No,
using.
that was a bit after. Silence of the Lambs was 91. I think the Hitchcock came out 2013.
Yeah, but it was after because
Oh yeah,
because
yeah.
of what he was
Of course,
because of what he did in
yeah. Yeah,
Hannibal and all that
Oh
sort
yeah,
of
yeah.
stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, yes.
He was the
yes.
ideal person to be interviewed, but he was heavily influenced by Hitchcock, wasn't he?
I didn't see the girl, the one that was based off the birds, because they at the same time, two different people made two different movies about Hitchcock. One did the making of Psycho, and the other was the birds. And the birds is called The Girl, which is by Tippi Hedren. And Tippi Hedren and Alfred Hitchcock have a very I don't know. It's one of those stories that you're like, yeah.
Is it
And
true or is it Hollywood?
yeah, and Tippi Hedren, I know her kids like went into Hollywood, and um, but Hitchcock was controversial, and he also Psycho was the first movie to have a toilet flush. Not only did he set the standard of setting screening times, he showed a toilet being flushed. So Hitchcock broke the rules in 1960s. Like, you know what? Show up at 11 o'clock. I want to see the movie at 11 o'clock. And we're going to show a freaking toilet. Like, how has no movie shown a toilet? And also the nudity, there was no nudity in that. That was their big concern. And the code had fallen apart at this time. The ratings board wasn't there, but the films had to be approved.
Mm.
And they shot it in black and white. Like, everything he had to do to get that movie made. And he did it. And the making of it, I thought the Hitchcock movie, like, when you make movies about making movies, they can only turn out like Ed Wood. I don't know if you've seen that with Tim Burton. Like, they did the movie The Room or The Making of the Room. It's always the same thing. Like, there's only so many plots. Eventually, the movie gets made.
Mm.
The thing I didn't like about Hitchcock was this love triangle with his wife and Jack Houston. And I was like, what does this have to do with anything? And then I thought the relationship with Scarlett Johansson's Janet Leigh would be better. It was like, it wasn't a bad movie. It was just, all right. You know, like, I would rather had a Hitchcock, a whole biopic versus.
Yeah.
But and I like how he had a sense of humor about himself. Like in Lifeboat,
Well,
his
it's British.
his cameo is him losing weight, like
Yeah.
the weight loss thing. Oh, we got to talk about cameos. Favorite Hitchcock cameos.
Oh God, yeah, but he's cameoed in every film. It's his
Some are better than
brand,
others.
his calling card.
North by Northwest, he gets it right out of the way, which is great.
I love it when he came out of the shop with the two poodles. It just makes me crack up every time I see it because that's just so Hitchcock. Comes out of the shop with these two
and then
tiny little poodles. This giant of a man.
He understood it. He understood the humor and disparity of the situation.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. He's very British,
Very.
and
I like
the
that.
British humor comes through. Definitely.
Uh,
But that's the cameo that I mean, because you always, whenever you go into a Hitchcock film, you're always looking for where he appears.
yes.
And that's part of his calling card. But that is the one I always remember. Just him coming out of those shop with those two dogs. It just makes me chuckle.
I remember they said it became a problem for him because he noticed The latest he ever put the cameo in the movie was an hour, and that was notorious because he's at the he's drinking one of the bottles,
Yeah.
and then he walks. But he said it was becoming tougher because he's like, well, they would do it, so he would try to put it earlier and earlier and earlier in the movie. That way, you're not looking for it. Like North by Northwest is a chase from the credits. That's like Bernard Herrmann. Dun, 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 dun. That's why I think, like you say, the birds. I say North by Northwest because it's kinetic, it's fast, and people often think old movies are slow. No, they're
They're
not.
not.
No, they're not. And the breakneck pace, the marriage of sound, sight, and sound, the wrong man, the fact, this phantom person. You have Cary Grant, one of his best collaborators, in his most comedic. I think that or To Catch a Thief. Like he did
Yeah, I
Suspicion,
think so.
Suspicion, and Notorious. He was more of a tough, scarier guy. The other two, he's more of a darling. And then he did Charade, which wasn't directed by Hitchcock, but should have been. Or I don't know what that even means, but it was good, right? And is there a is there an actor you wish Hitchcock would have worked with of that time? I know that's a strange question.
I don't know, because he worked with so many. But and I suppose the classic would have been the Peter Cushings of this world.
That would have been so.
That would have been
Christopher
quite
Lee.
interesting.
Ooh.
Peter Cushing,
Ooh.
Christopher Lee, very, very obvious, strong British actors in the horror genre, would have been great in a Hitchcock film. Obviously, it wasn't meant to be, but I suppose if you were thinking about those, the Christopher Lee certainly.
He surprised he wasn't.
Yeah, or even the likes of Richard Attenborough.
That would have been different.
No.
You never know. These guys could have been extras.
Yeah, you don't know. James Mason.
He was in one. James Mason was
he?
He was the bad guy in North by Northwest, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. You're right. See, what do I know?
Oh, I love James Mason. He's so good.
But I think that there are a lot of actors who would have worked well with Hitchcock. So you could literally roll them off and
David Niven, I feel like would have been fun.
David Niven would have been a good one. Michael Caine.
Oh, Michael Caine
would have been amazing. Certainly, if he'd done like a remake of the 39 Steps.
Oh yeah.
With Michael Caine in it, that would have been incredible, especially with his London accent. You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off. He would have been incredible.
Trust to Kill would be the closest we would get to that, since Brian De Palma remade Psycho with Michael Caine. Michael Caine, him in the 80s, when he was just doing different roles, he did The Hand with Oliver Stone, which was crazy. Like, his horror movies are so good. I'm like, wow. Yeah. I didn't. And Michael Caine, I first learned of him because you're gonna think, wow, you're young. I think it was Miss Congeniality. I was a kid. That's how I was introduced to Michael Caine, and then he's like this epic actor. I was like, oh.
Well, Caine, because Caine had done a lot of Cold War movies.
Yes.
And they were brilliant. I mean, we all love Michael Caine, obviously, from Zulu. That was one of his first big roles.
Muppet Christmas Carol for me. Sorry, I love him.
And then you got he's done some real bad ones as well. Jaws 3 was dreadful.
I think it was 4 or 3, but he said
it was Jaws 3. I think
he was like, "Yeah, that bought my house."
Yeah, exactly. That's why he did it. He said it was a dreadful film, but that's why he did it, for the money. When they offer you that sort of money,
6 months where you say these terrible lines in a movie, and no matter what you do, it's going to suck.
But that was Michael Caine. Not a lot of people know that. My name is Michael Caine. Not a lot of people know that. Caine was a great actor, and it's certainly in the sort of 60s when after he'd done the Italian Job, everyone wanted him.
Oh yeah.
And then he'd done a whole string of really great films. And so he was in like the Battle of Britain, Then there was what was it?
The
He
Man Who Would
played
Be King. He was good in that, right?
yeah.
Sean
There
Connery.
loads of it. But anyway, we're going on to
See,
we could
that's
probably
it.
do
I
Michael
guess we need a
Caine.
Michael Caine episode.
Well, a Michael Caine episode.
We're adding it to the lists. We can always reject it later, but if we have a list, if you have 10 things, you at least have one. Right? That's why I love brainstorming,
Yeah,
spitballing, the
yeah.
Venn diagram, all those things we learned in school, how to like organize your ideas. And then you get as an adult, you're like, oh, it's a good thing I was listening that day. Or they mentioned it 70,000 times in like your
Yeah,
first 5 years
yeah.
of life. Okay. Let's see. Do you have any questions for me about Alfred Hitchcock?
No, I think
I think we covered a lot.
I think we've covered a hell of a lot about
Okay.
Alfred Hitchcock between us.
Mm.
I think you're certainly an aficionado on film.
I spent spent a decade watching movies instead of having a life, and now I'm having a life, and I don't
And
watch the
watching
movies anymore.
movies.
But I talk about it, and
Yeah,
I'm meeting more people talking about my experiences over the last 10 years, and I was like, that's why I'm Sappy Sorcerer. I'm sourcing my memories because I used to have all these DVDs. I don't have them anymore, but I remember it.
yeah. Well, that's like you say, you got streaming now.
Oh yeah.
I quite often go to TCM just to see what old black and white movies they got on there, because it's just back to back black and white movies. And I love some of those old black and white because, like I say, they're only like an hour and a quarter, hour and a half long,
Get to
and
3.
that's great. There's some
He's-
real great films on there.
TCM is probably one of the greatest channels ever made. And for up until like maybe, I don't know how many decades ago, but they were used to show films commercial free, uncut, like not that they were cut, but unedited. And as a kid, I didn't appreciate it. But the thing is, what I loved about TCM was the marketing of it. Like they'd show those posters or you'd see like the overcoat. I'm like, why does this movie look so cool? And then you watch it, you're like, as a kid, and then you get older, I'm like, oh, you see the psychological and
Yeah,
especially with the film
yeah,
noir. And what I like about Hitchcock is just as a artist is he was able to take, like we talked about, that prison cell, one of the most traumatic, and probably that could have taken so many different ways, right? That could have just made him become an alcoholic, like not saying, but
yeah.
and he did that in like a career, not just one movie, almost all of them. Like Mr. and Mrs. Smith is no wrong man, obviously, right? Okay.
Yeah.
The trouble with Harry, well, there's a dead body, and that's the foundation of Weekend at Bernie's. Like, and he's so influential, and I like that he made movies for people. That at the end of the day, and when Tom Cruise at Top Gun, he's like, I make movies for the audience.
Yeah, and that is the one thing about Hitchcock. Whatever he did, it didn't matter what medium it was. Always about the audience.
And he gets it.
And I just wish more people were like that.
Well, that's why we're here talking about it, so people can learn.
Absolutely.
And the thing is, his legacy. We could talk on that briefly. 'Cause I have 22% battery life. That's usually how I plug the microphone in, and I'm like, all right, we're at 3. I'm talking about 2 hours. I started.
We have been going for an hour and 40 minutes.
So that means we're coming to the end. I'm at 22.
Yeah,
it's usually by 3. I like, all right, I got to charge before it just cuts us off. But
I think before we bore everyone.
no. His legacy. So Hitchcock passed in 1980.
Yeah.
He had met Spielberg, which is true, and he thought very highly of him, which is probably the ultimate compliment to get as a kid. Like I think.
Yeah, but
maybe,
look at Jewel. Still one of Spielberg's first films, Jewel.
Yeah.
And it's like if Hitchcock had come out with that, you would have said that was incredible. I mean, it was very Hitchcockish.
It's good.
It's a great film.
And it was a TV movie. And you're like,
exactly.
Why is this so good? And you're like, that was, and
And
Spielberg,
that was very much Hitchcock's influence on Spielberg.
It was.
I think.
Oh yeah.
But that came from a short story.
Mm-hmm. If you're out there, watch
doesn't
Duel.
surprise me.
Watch Duel.
Watch Duel.
Fun fact about Spielberg is he started in television because he actually directed the first episode, not the pilot, the first episode of Columbo. And Peter Falk was like, this guy's too good to be doing this. Like he knew, he's like, this guy's too good to be doing television directing.
Yeah.
And Peter Falk at
I
that
used
point,
I
right?
used to love Columbo.
It
In my
do we
youth,
do we do
watching.
we need to talk about that? Because I love Columbo. Just
Well, not just
because
Columbo, but I think in
just
fact, we
one more
could do
just one more thing.
just one more thing
Just one more thing.
with the
You know?
cigar, and that was great. But I used to watch because we used to get a lot of the American cop shows over, um, and we were watching Columbo. The other one at the time was Kojak
Oh, who
with
loves you,
Telly
baby?
Savalas. Hey,
Who
hey,
loves
who
you,
loves you,
baby?
baby? Um,
The best Blofeld. I said it. The
oh
best
yeah,
Blofeld.
and
We're tying every episode together in our stuff, all right?
yeah, from on Her Majesty's Secret Service. Um, so we could do something on crime dramas because I remember in the 80s I absolutely loved Hill Street Blues.
Ooh.
That was one TV series because at the time we didn't have a lot of choice,
Right.
but that was one US cop show that I did not want to miss at any time. Don't know why, just loved it.
No, I think the procedurals, like there's so many good things in those. And then in terms of content, and I did a class in mass media. We went through decades, and my teacher wanted to show us Hill Street Blues for the 80s. He didn't. He said, "I
Mhm.
want to. It's the better show, but I'm going with Miami Vice because the impact."
Yeah,
That
I
was
mean,
and but he said Hill Street is a better show,
Hill Street
but
was
Miami Vice
the
had a
best show.
bigger impact,
Yeah,
which I was like, okay. And
yeah.
it was like, for the purposes of this
Rockford
class, we should be
Files.
watching. Huh?
Rockford Files.
Ooh, Rockford Files, yeah.
And also Cannon. Jim
Cannon,
Cannon.
yes. Then there's Bob
Oh,
Black Sheep. Oh, we're gonna go on
we
Emergency.
could go. So I think we ought to do, instead of just doing, on the Rockford Files or something like, let's do an American, or
Action,
or
American television.
either or just British and American crime dramas
Sure.
or police dramas, because
Police
at that
drama.
time in Britain we had things like the Sweeney,
Mhm.
which is basically these Cockney rhyming slang. Okay, Sweeney Todd Flying Squad. Okay, it was about the Flying Squad was the Met League. They used to deal with all the armed robberies, and they were called the Flying Squad. And of course, for Cockney rhymers came was Sweeney Todd, so they used to be called the Sweeney. And Sweeney Todd, if you don't know, was a mass murderer in
Benjamin
East End of London.
Barber.
And he was a barber. And
I love the movie. I love the Tim Burton
Sweeney
movie.
Todd. So we had things like Sweeney, and Dixon and Doc Green and all that sort of. So they were our equivalent, if you like. Z Cars were our equivalent of like Hill Street Blues, Rockford Files, and Starsky and Hutch was another one.
Oh yes, that was a big one.
With Huggy Bear.
Yeah. They had Chips.
Chips. That was more in the 80s. That was
Okay.
more the type. That was more like with Miami Vice.
What about Dukes of Hazzard? Would you consider that a procedural show?
We used to love the Dukes of Hazzard on a Saturday night.
I love the narrator. I love the narrator.
Quality. It was the narrator, and also, of course, we all loved Daisy Duke. Because
she had Daisy Dukes.
She had some Daisy Dukes and some incredible legs. So yeah, of course, we used to love the Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh, that's a good one.
But we could do something on crime dramas or something like that.
I'm gonna mull over it. I'm think maybe Sherlock, Columbo, because Family Guy maybe, because I've watched Family Guy.
I've watched them over and over.
I feel like you're
going
to be teaching me more about that. So maybe
Family Guy just makes me cry. It absolutely makes me cry.
Maybe a Seth MacFarlane episode, and we could just maybe get it, because I think it was weird when I was watching Family Guy again. I forgot what season it was, and it was a time where I was just having it on the background. I didn't love it, but then I realized, I think it was 40 minutes. I'm like, there's not a single cutaway. It was one of the episodes where they killed someone, and then it kind of made me like stop, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, okay, Seth. He's like, you broke your own formula in an epic way. I'm like, all right. And uh, what I've realized about Seth MacFarlane is I love him as a talent. That's my
Mhm.
favorite thing. I do like him as a writer, but I think prefer him as a talent. Not that he's not a good writer or thing. It's a lot of his humor. It's like kind of the same thing. Like A Million Ways to Die in the West has the
I,
same jokes as Family. No, I like it, but it's like the same
I
jokes.
loved it. The
And
whole story about the
yeah,
sheep on top of the house.
and then
And
Liam
it
Neeson.
came back from town with $20.
$1.
Oh God! Don't get
No,
me started.
no, we will talk. But my favorite, one of my favorite Seth MacFarlane performance. I like him on American Dad because he doesn't write it; he acts in it, and I think he
Yeah,
gets to have fun. Some because when you do everything, and when you just get to show up and just be yourself, he's a great singer. I don't know. He did a cover of Sinatra songs
yeah.
recently.
No, he because
Beautiful voice.
he is quite an educated singer as well.
Oh, he's
But
very
also
talented.
because you got the whole story of him that he was meant to be on one of the planes at 9/11,
And he said
and he
he
missed
got
it.
drunk. He got drunk. He got
He got
hungover,
drunk and he missed it.
and he said, as a comedy writer, I can't think like that.
Yeah,
And the thing is, there was a producer on Frasier that was on one of the planes, and it probably could have been that same flight. And
yeah,
you think, he's like, well, being an alcoholic at that point in his life saved his life. Isn't that kind of
yeah,
crazy? Like, oh, you can't
yeah,
drink.
yeah.
And but a fun performance I like from Seth MacFarlane is in Hellboy 2. He plays this gas being in this machine. It's like a suit, and then Seth MacFarlane's just gas. So the gas contains him, and he speaks with a German accent. So him fighting with Ron Perlman in a giant thing, Agent Hellboy, and he's so good because it's like an animatronic CGI and Seth MacFarlane's voice coming out. I was like, this is good because I don't know. I love the fact that he had such a great impact on television because everything after Family Guy changed everything.
Yeah,
It's
well,
not as much as
I
The Simpsons, but he changed like
oh,
shows coming back.
but I love the fact when he's got like Peter when he lying on bed saying, "We took so much from the Simpsons. We really took a lot from the Simpsons. They say we didn't take much from them. We took so much from the Simpsons." And it just cracks me up that
It
it's
did.
like doing all that, and then of course they've done the Simpsons crossover,
I don't
which
like it.
it didn't
Didn't work.
really work very well, but it was a fun for an
It was
hour.
it was cute. I'm glad they tried it because remember
Yeah,
there was a period where they all hated everyone hated Family Guy. It was
mm,
South Park and Simpsons were teaming up against Family Guy,
yeah,
and
yeah.
because South Park writers respect the Simpsons, but they don't respect Seth. And I was like, huh. And then, of course, if you met Trey and Matt Parker, it's two guys that do everything, and then Seth doing everything. And I'm like, I like their bickering because it's fun. And then you have Seth Green, who created Robot Chicken, and they're fighting on the show with the Star Wars. Oh, I think it's
I,
a pretty good show. Oh, what was
no,
it?
no, I'm not sure.
Oh.
But then they're arguing within the show. It's just hysterical,
And
basically.
it's, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I got some because the first season they got cancelled after the first season, didn't
Hmm.
they? But
Yeah.
it done so well on DVD that they had to bring it back.
And someone who
And
bought that DVD without watching the show, I was like, okay, I was April 15th, 2003 in the States. That is the date, tax day. I bought,
yeah,
my mom had to buy that for me. I was like, I need it.
I but it's like my ex-wife at the time. She said, she introduced me to Family Guy, and it's like, what? Where have we been? Why are we not watching this stuff? It was incredible.
Yeah.
And just then, ever since then, I got to have a little bit of Family Guy every day.
I
Just
respect that. I'm
because
going to watch some more episodes. All right, we'll
it's
see.
like last thing before I go to bed, I like to have a chuckle.
Oh, I fall
Um,
asleep to sitcoms. That's me. I need Frasier.
yeah,
I need to smile when I sleep. It
yeah.
helps.
And so basically, I have half an hour of Family Guy, and then I go to bed,
I
and
like that.
it's just sets you up. I just think it gives you that feel good factor
Of
because
course, you're
there is
smiling
not
and
there.
sleeping.
Yeah, there is not an episode of Family Guy where I don't laugh out loud. It even doesn't matter how many times I've seen it. Because it's the same as Monty Python for me.
Of course, yeah.
I have seen Life of Brian probably 1,000 times, and
I
I'm not
love that one.
joking.
No, I
Okay,
believe you.
because and it still makes me laugh. I know
I've got the sandal. I've got the sandal. I'm sorry.
follow his gourd. Follow the gourd.
I got it.
He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy. You know, it's and Family Guy has the same impact on me that I can see it over. It just makes me laugh, and I quite often I have to watch these things again to see the stuff that I missed because I was laughing so hard. I've had. There was the first time I saw. You might. I don't know if you've remember this episode.
Okay.
But Peter has put a frog in the box to cheer up Chris because his girlfriend's left him, and he said, "I stabbed some holes into the box
for the air."
Opened the box, and of course he stabbed the frog, and then he's trying to throw it out the window, and it keeps sliding down the wall, and he keeps trying to pick it up and whatever. I swear to you, not. I am. My wife would tell you this was absolute. My ex-wife would tell you this is absolutely true. I was lying on the floor, crying with laughter because he was just as something as stupid as trying to pick up this frog with the box and throw it out the window.
I remember that one. Yeah.
Absolutely falling apart, laughing. It was hurting. I was laughing so much it was hurting.
That's good. It's gut busting.
And that's what I love about things like Family Guy. And I always think if you can go to bed in a good mood.
Yeah.
My dad always used to tell me, he said, the secret of a good marriage, I wish I'd listened, but the secret of a good marriage, right, is never go to sleep on an argument.
True. Yeah.
And I can see it. So never go to sleep unhappy.
Oh.
Always go to sleep happy and you wake up happy.
Yeah.
And so I always watch a little bit of Family Guy every night. Happy Days. There's another one. Happy Days.
I know. I was like, oh, you can't. That's the other thing with these singular titled movies. We'll say something. And and now we're at the point where a lot of these movies, like it's like the third time that they have these single titles. Like Obsession was already made in the 70s.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, okay. And a moment I love from Family Guy is the giant chicken fight that has no reason, and it just keeps getting dumber and dumber, but I love it because the first one was one of my favorite moments. Yeah. And then after a while, they're like, why are we even fighting? And then he takes them out to dinner, and they're fighting over the check. He's like...
And then...
he pecks them in the face.
And then the female chicken and...
Yes, the wife. She's like, oh, it's okay, let him pay for it. Oh, I'm killing Andrew. He's ready to go to sleep, guys. He needs a little dose of Family Guy and a pinch of Sappy. We got you covered.
We're definitely going to do a Family Guy episode or a Seth MacFarlane episode.
I'm happy to cover it all.
Oh dear.
All right, we're coming up.
I'm exhausted.
We're coming up on 2 hours. Andrew made me, and this conversation makes me going to check out Family Guy. It has 50 million seasons, so I'll get Disney Plus for a month or so. I own every
It's on
season.
Amazon.
Is okay. I will check it out. I owe it because I know the thing is, even with The Simpsons, after I think I stopped at season 10. The Simpsons has been on since I've been born, so and I want to see a Family Guy feature film. I think Seth would have fun with it because I know over the years he probably handed it off because he's doing a million things.
Did you ever see the Star Wars crossover?
I saw the trilogy. Blue Harvest. The trilogy. I love it. I love Star Wars, and I love with this couch. Oh yeah. We're just gonna. And the giant chicken is Boba Fett. And then I think they had Roger in American Dad. They're like, yeah, we ran out of characters. And Roger's my favorite Seth MacFarlane character because there's nothing funnier than Seth MacFarlane and being Paul Lynde, just with no boundaries. Like, I wish Roger would show up on Family Guy, but then that wouldn't be fair. Then there would be no reason.
He has made a couple of cameos.
I know. And when Brian meets Stan, stop pretending like we don't exist. Or that hurricane episode at the end when Cleveland and Peter are there, and Peter shoots Cleveland. He's like, Peter,
Yeah.
you know me.
And also when he trades Meg down to down to the American Dad.
Yes, yep. And I think I need to watch it to miss like a lot of those elements because I watched American Dad all the way through, so I might have saw half the joke. That
Yeah.
hurricane episode, so good. But okay, Andrew, you have gotten me to gotten me. You have you. I speak English well, great, wonderfully,
Yeah.
good. We talked a lot about Hitchcock, so thank
We
you,
did.
everyone. Andrew and I are probably going to have an ongoing segment, so he's always welcome back on the soapbox, which we just stand on a soapbox and start screaming at the universe. It's a pretty good
Yeah.
title.
It's
So
great. It's great.
thank you. I'm glad to see you in a good mood. Not that you're ever in a bad mood, but you just seem livelier because you're awake and you don't have to
Yeah,
fight
well,
it.
it's not 3 o'clock in the morning. So.
But you're such a sport, and I wanted to give you a shot to be like yourself in like peak time, you know? And I know in a couple hours you'll have your Family Guy and have a great night. But thank you so much. We will be in touch. Your book comes out. Just give a quick plug for your book because that's why we're
The
here.
book Cold Ground, which is book 1 of the Thompson Newman files, is out on the 5th of November. So remember the 5th of November.
All right. And as we get closer, we're going to hear more updates and we're going to plug the hell out of it. And we're going to make this man a millionaire. And
Well, I don't know about that.
Oh, trust Sappy. He could see the future. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thanks, my friend.
Have a great night.
Take care. See you soon.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.